Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all Missouri students, sponsored by the Missouri Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to your presenter at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at MOACAC.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website, MOACAC.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters.
Hi, thanks so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Fink. I'm an admission counselor at DePaul. I'll be the one presenting today. I also have with me a current student. So Marcel, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, hey guys, my name is Marcel. I'm a current senior at DePaul studying communications and media, and I'm excited to answer any questions you guys have.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up with the presentation. All right. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and we're just going to talk about DePaul today. Like the moderator said, feel free to put your questions in the Q&A. We'll kind of be checking that throughout the session. I'll try to leave time at the end as well, but this will be a pretty quick 45-minute session about DePaul. So just starting out with some basics, DePaul was founded in 1898 in the city of Chicago. We actually have two campuses. One is in Lincoln Park, which is a northern neighborhood of Chicago, about 15 minutes north of downtown. And then we also have a campus in the Loop as well, which is the downtown area of Chicago. In just a few slides, I'll be going into more details about our two campuses, but I think it's always helpful to start out with those basic facts in case you hear me say Lincoln Park or the Loop. Those are our two campuses. A little bit about who our students are and where they're coming from. So we have about 23,000 total students. Of those, a little over 15,000 or so are undergraduate students. We have students from all 50 states as well as 111 countries, and about 67% of them are from Illinois. We are a private institution, so tuition is the same both in-state and out-of-state. A lot of our students who are from Illinois are coming from the surrounding suburbs, but we also have a lot of out-of-state students. Our top 5 feeder states include California, Michigan, Ohio, Texas, and Minnesota. And then actually Missouri is typically the number like 6 or 7. I myself am from Missouri, as is Marcel, so we're happy to be kind of the Missouri representatives for DePaul. A little bit more just about the university. So about 45% of our students are students of color, and about a third of our students are first-generation college students. DePaul is the largest Catholic university in the nation, but only about 30% of our students identify as Catholic. And we have over 30 different religions represented on campus, including students who don't practice. So there's, people coming from all over the country, all over the world to attend school at DePaul, and I would say it definitely, is very reminiscent of Chicago as a whole, really being this melting pot that's bringing together different cultures, people from different backgrounds, all students who have that same passion and desire to have an education and be able to, learn something in the classroom and go out into the world and make a difference is really at our mission as a university, which I'll talk about in a bit as well. Just a few more facts before I move on. DePaul's 15-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio really just means that we're able to have smaller class sizes. On average, our class sizes are about 22 students. So even though we are such a large university, 15,000 undergrads or so, we are able to keep class sizes pretty small, which, to me was one of my favorite things about being a student at DePaul. And actually, Marcel, do you know roughly how many people you would say are in your communication classes?
Yeah, usually it varies between 15 to 20. I think the most I've had has been about like 25.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, for me, I think the largest class that I had was like 40, and that was like a science class. So yeah, on average for me, I was a film and television major, and on average, for those classes, they try to keep them capped at like 30 students. So yeah, I would say for me as well, I was able to keep class sizes pretty small. Cool. And 98% of those classes are taught by DePaul professors. So, you really get to able to form connections with the people who are teaching your classes. All of them are required to have office hours. And even in this virtual space, they're still finding time to connect with their students in a lot of creative ways. I found I'm also a graduate student currently at DePaul in a couple of courses. All right, so this is going to be kind of the framework for the presentation today. I'll be going over these three main topics. First, starting out with our education, going over the different programs that DePaul has, the different majors we offer, minors, things like that. And then in the middle section, talking about our environment, where we're located in Chicago, more about our two campuses. And then in the end, talking about our ethos or who we are as a university, what are our values. We're named after St. Vincent de Paul, who is the patron saint of charity. So community service is worked into a lot of things that we do as a university. So again, first starting out with our 10 schools and colleges, there's a lot of information here that I think is super beneficial for you all to know as you're beginning your college search process. I'm going to try to keep it pretty quick because we do have about 300 different majors and minors. So there's a ton to choose from. Just in a nutshell, here's kind of the major points that I want you all to know about DePaul's education. So starting out at the top with our Driehaus College of Business, this is currently our largest college at DePaul. We have a lot of students studying within this college. Popular majors include marketing, accountancy, business administration, entrepreneurship, real estate, things like that. No matter what your major is within business, you'll take what we call our business core. So you're taking classes in all those different areas of business before you start your more rigorous major coursework. And that college is located in our Loop campus, which again is the downtown area of Chicago. Next, we have our College of Communication, which Marcel is in. Marcel, do you want to say just a couple things about this college?
Yeah, the College of Communication has about 9 majors. So they've got PR and advertising, public relations and advertising. I myself am in communications and media. There's communications and technology, media and cinema. I'd say overall there are a communication core, which ranges from public speaking to intro to human communication. But it's pretty broad as far as what you want to explore. I myself had a lot of electives, so I've taken about almost every kind of communication class as far as other classes outside of the major. So a lot of people say it's kind of like make your own major in a sense. You really have a lot of room to explore your interests.
Cool, awesome. And I know there's some cool majors in there, we have sports communication, and there's a minor in media and cult studies or something like that, or in fandom. Yeah, so there's a lot of really cool stuff. What would you say is your favorite course you've taken within that college?
Honestly, I think it was one of my communication core was intro to mass communication. I'm just a big TV and film person. So we just kind of explored the different types of media and how they impact people. They're kind of we also explored different PR ways that are snuck into different TV shows and movies. So it was just all about mass media, and it was really interesting.
Awesome, cool. So moving right on down the line, talking about our College of Computing and Digital Media. This is the college that I was in. This college is actually broken up into 3 different schools. So there's our School of Computing, which houses majors like computer science, cybersecurity, IT, data science, things like that. And then there's our School of Design, which houses majors like game design and graphic design. And then finally, we have our School of Cinematic Arts, which houses film and television and animation. Currently, film and television is our largest major at DePaul. We actually had more students last year enroll in that major than declare undecided as their major. And so we used to joke, undecided is our most popular major for freshmen, but now technically it is film and television. Some kind of cool aspects of that program, we have a partnership with CineSpace, which is the largest production studio outside of Los Angeles. It's located in the West Loop area of the city, and that's where they film shows like Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, all those Chicago shows. Also Shameless, Empire, Netflix and Amazon both have lots out there that they film at. So there's a lot of really cool stuff happening there, and our students get to take classes at CineSpace. DePaul has 3 sound stages that they own, so students are learning on industry standard equipment, and you're actually learning from those professionals that are working on those productions. So it's a really great opportunity for students and who are interested in that area. Moving on down the line, our College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. This houses majors like philosophy, English, political science, criminology, peace, justice, and conflict studies. There's really a lot going on in this college, and no matter what your major is at DePaul, you'll take classes within this area in what we call our liberal studies courses. These are broken up into 6 different learning domains that range from arts and literature, philosophy, history, things like that. So you're really able to use those classes to explore different areas, explore passions outside of your major, or add on to a major that you already have, or get a minor in a different area. So there's a lot of cool ways you can use those liberal studies courses to your advantage. Marcella, to put you on the spot again, what would you say is one of your favorite liberal studies courses that you've taken at DePaul?
I took an African American politics class that was really interesting. In addition to like really loving the professor, it was actually only 9 students. So I felt like we got a lot of really good dialogue in there. We had a few good, like pretty guest speakers. So it's very conversational. It was very engaging for like all of us.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that sounds so cool. I took a class that was called Religion and Politics in the US, and it was taught by a priest who was also a lawyer, and it was like very fascinating, but it was also just learning about like how religion and politics are kind of intertwined in the US, and we talked about a lot of like Supreme Court cases that dealt with religion. And so there's a lot of really cool stuff you can study that may have literally nothing to do with your major, but it's just a great way to learn more about different cultures or things that are happening in the US or abroad. So cool. So moving on down the line to our College of Science and Health. This houses majors like health science and psychology, also 2 of our more popular majors, as well as areas like biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, environmental science, things like that. For students who are interested in going into a healthcare career, we do have a Pathways Honors Program for students. So if you're a part of this program, you get additional advising support to help you apply to medical school or whatever kind of graduate program you're looking to go into in the healthcare field. You also get additional networking, research opportunities, internship opportunities. So it's a really great organization to be a part of. And if you're interested, if any students out there are interested, I can certainly go into more details about what this program is about. Our College of Education, this is going to house anything from early childhood education all the way up through secondary ed, including special education and exercise science. Within this college, we have a big focus on urban education, students learning from the city of Chicago and all of its different education systems. So you'll get experience doing student teaching and observation hours in Chicago public schools, private schools, charter schools. If students have any interest in a more suburban location, we'll help place them there. But students really get, again, kind of a feel for what Chicago schools are like. And many of our students get jobs in the Chicagoland area once they graduate. And then our theater school and our School of Music. These programs are actually conservatory programs, which means that you do have to apply or audition depending on the nature of the major. So something like acting within our theater school would be an audition. Something like like music education in our School of Music might be both an audition and an interview. So again, it kind of depends on what you're looking to go into. But if anyone has any questions about the specific majors, I'm happy to go into more details about that. But Marcel, anything you wanted to add just in terms of kinds of like classes you can take at DePaul, anything about your major you want to plug, cool classes you've taken?
I think one of the things I like about my classes at DePaul is like a lot of classes are very specific and there's a lot of class options. So I've really just been able to take so many things of my interest. I tell people a lot, like one of our first year, I think it's like a first year core class or a second year core class you have to take is like really specific. So I took like a Harry Potter class that I love to talk about. Like it was great. We just like analyzed the books and we really like read textbooks about Harry Potter. In addition, like we just totally looked at Harry Potter in detail, which I loved. And then one of my favorite authors, Toni Morrison, there's a class all on just her. We watch her documentary, we talk about her, watch her interviews, read her books. So like the specificity of the classes is something I've loved about DePaul. And like I said, the college communication, I have so many electives that I've been able to just like explore anything that remotely interests me, which is cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say, we could literally keep going on and on about Toni Morrison, but we should probably get to the rest of the presentation. But I agree. I love that DePaul does have like those specific classes where you can really just like dive into a subject. I took one about Game of Thrones. So there's a lot of cool stuff. So something else kind of unique about DePaul is that we're on the quarter system. So in a nutshell, what this means is that instead of having 2 15-week semesters, we have 3 required 10-week quarters. So how students will navigate this is that they'll take typically 4 classes a quarter, and there's the optional for 3 times a year. So you're taking classes in September through November, that's our fall quarter. January through about mid-March is our winter quarter. And then end of March through early June is our spring quarter. And there are breaks in between all of these quarters. And the summer quarter is optional. So to stay on track to graduate in 4 years, you just have to take fall, winter, and spring quarter. A question I get asked a lot by students is like, does this mean classes are really fast paced? Like, how will I adjust to that? So Marcel, if you could talk a little bit about your experiences with the quarter system and kind of how have you navigated that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're any more really fast paced. I would say that switching classes at the end of 10 weeks sometimes feels like, sometimes it's good and you really want to just like switch up your class schedule, and sometimes it's more like, oh, I wish I stayed in a subject. But I think there really is a benefit to having 3 quarters, which means you're switching classes 3 times. That's like more material to take in. Something I personally always do, like my first freshman year, I decided to always take like 1 3-hour class. So our classes are in, they're either 90 minutes twice a week, or you can do 1 3-hour class. So I've found that for me, I like doing 1 3-hour class each quarter. It kind of like frees up more time in your schedule. And when we were going into classes, it was kind of nice to just learn everything you wanted to learn for the week and not meet until another week. As far as the breaks, having December, you have the whole month of December. Like after Thanksgiving, you have the whole month of December, which I've loved. I've worked in the Office of Admission the whole time and made some extra money. I've also gone on trips as well. So I love the quarter system and having that big break in the winter. I think it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I always joke that it's like, you can literally do whatever you want with that time. So if you want to go home and bitch Netflix for 6 weeks, you totally can. But yeah, you can work on campus. We have short-term study abroad trips during that time as well. And yeah, so it's a great time. I definitely miss it now that I'm no longer a student. But yeah, awesome. So I'm now transitioning more, talking about our environment, where DePaul's located, what it's like to be a student in a big city like Chicago. So yeah, first talking about our 2 campuses. And so our, oh, I think you're not muted.
Yep.
Oh.
Okay. So sorry.
That's okay. Anyway, so talking about our 2 campuses. So we do have one campus in Lincoln Park, which is typically referred to as our main campus. I sometimes will also hear, oh, sorry about that. Okay, sorry. I also hear sometimes people refer to Lincoln Park as just more of our like residential campus. More students tend to live in Lincoln Park. It does feel like a more traditional college campus because it's a little more spread out. We do have more green space there. And again, that houses our colleges of liberal arts and social sciences, science and health, education, theater, and music. You can see a pretty picture of part of our campus here. You can see our softball fields and then one of our residence halls in the background there. In our Loop campus, this is again the downtown area of Chicago, and so this includes our College of Business, College of Communication, and then our College of Computing and Digital Media, as well as our law school. So typically how I'll explain it to students is that, you know, most of your major courses are going to be in the campus that your college is located at. But other than that, there's a lot of flexibility in where you take your classes. So, you know, those liberal studies courses, a lot of them tend to gravitate towards Lincoln Park because that's where that college is located. But I took a religion class in the Loop. I also had, you know, communication class, which counted as a different requirement in the Loop. So really there's a lot of flexibility in what kind of campus or which campus you're spending most of your time at when it comes to your non-major courses. And Marcel, I know we talked a little bit about scheduling. Could you talk a little bit about how you kind of navigated both the campuses and, you know, what was that like?
Yeah, I loved having both like 2 different campuses and 2 different settings, and I think that's what initially drew me to DePaul. Yeah, so like I said, we have those like 90-minute classes and we have those 3-hour classes. So it only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to get to the loop with your UPass, which is given to every student who pays tuition. So sometimes usually I like break up my days. So I'll do like a loop day one day and a Lincoln Park day the other day. But I love traveling like back and forth to the loop. I think it's great. I've had like film classes down there. I've had a lot of communications classes down there. And I think it's fun to like, sometimes you feel like you're in the city and you're like with the business people who are going to work every day. But yeah, so I love it. And what's great about the quarter system is you can also choose if you want to do, like, I've done a quarter where I just took classes in the loop, and then one quarter I've just taken classes in Lincoln Park. Like, I do that in the winter where I only take classes in Lincoln Park because I don't want to go down to the loop when it's freezing cold, probably snowing. So I think you can easily find a balance in like finding what works for you, and you can switch it up every 10 weeks when the quarter changes, which is nice.
Yeah, no, good point. I know like for me in like the winter, I would, always try to stay like as much in Lincoln Park as possible because I'm like, I don't want to be on the train when it's like snowing. And, but I will say it's so funny, like when you get used to DePaul's like, two campus system, because like you'll know when the passing periods are in between classes, because they'll just be like droves of students on the train, like waiting to go down to the loop. Yeah. And you're like, you got to get your spot on the train. Yeah. So true. But like Marcel said, the UPass is included in tuition if you're a full-time student. So transportation is literally, you've already paid for it. Like you don't have to pay any separate price to take public transit. So and it's unlimited. So you can use as many times a day as you want, many days a week as you want, as long as classes are in session. So, yeah. So this slide, I feel like now every time I present, I'm like, oh, these are like all the things we can't do because of COVID. But really the whole point of me sharing this with you all is just to show you that, when you're a college student, you're going to have a lot of time outside of class, than you ever did before. So typically DePaul students are only in class for about 3 hours a day, maybe a little more if you're kind of stacking your days to have extra free time during the week. But you really do have a lot of flexibility in what you're doing outside of classes, whether it be on campus or off campus. And this is just to show you that, being a student in Chicago, there's just so many things you can take advantage of. So, we have like Lake Michigan right there. And so we have different parks across Chicago you can go to. There's art museums, there's professional sporting events, there's theaters, there's amazing food. And so there's a lot of different ways to, really get involved in the Chicagoland community outside of DePaul as well. But DePaul does have a good way to help students adjust to their time living in a city. We refer to it as our Chicago quarter class. You'll sometimes also hear it referred to as Discover and Explore Chicago. And so what this is a class that you'll take your first quarter freshman year, and you get to focus on a different topic about Chicago, and you'll be with a professor who's an expert in that area, as well as a staff professional, so someone like me who works for DePaul but isn't a professor, and then an upperclassman will also be a part of that class. And typically they're capped at about 20 to 30 students, and so you really get to know the people in your class well, and it will help you learn more about Chicago, but also, how to transition from being a high school student to a college student. Marcella, do you want to talk a little bit about your Chicago quarter class?
Yeah, so mine was in the liberal arts and social sciences college. It was gardens and green spaces. So every day we went to like a cemetery one day, we went to Jackson Park, we went to Northerly Island, which is like right along the lake. We were on the lake almost every day. It was beautiful. It was great because it felt like we hadn't been in Chicago for the summer, but it felt like I was in like a really good Chicago summer. Like everyone was out. It was so beautiful. And I still reference it. Like I went to Jackson Park the other day with my one of my friends because it's like so beautiful. I remembered it from freshman year. So it's so nice to just be able to, like, you are pushed into the city fully in like a really good way. Like that was the first time I rode the CTA, and it was like kind of scary at first, but by the end of the week I was like, okay, I got it. So it was I really enjoyed my class a lot, actually.
Yeah, I think that's like another great benefit of the course is that like you get to, like, they teach you how to take like the train your first day, so it's like the small things like that really help you feel like you are a part of this city and you're not in like a college bubble, which I think was one of my favorite things about going to DePaul.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that being said, there are a lot of things on campus for you to participate in. I know it's not a great segue, but I think that this just, again, proves that you have so many options when you go to school in Chicago, and, you know, DePaul wants you to take advantage of all of them, both on and off campus. And so we have over 350 clubs and organizations, including Greek life. We have fraternities and sororities. We have different club and intramural sports teams. We have different political affiliation clubs. A lot of clubs are, you know, committed to service and social justice. And there's a lot of major specific clubs as well. So a lot of great ways to connect with people that are interested in going into the same career as you. So really there's endless amount of ways that you can get involved on campus. And we also have on-campus jobs. I myself worked on campus, Marcel works on campus. So there's a lot of ways to get involved within DePaul and, you know, really make this experience kind of what you want. And, you know, being in Chicago, you have the options both on and off campus. And yeah. Also, with being in the city, there's a lot of job opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities for internships and ways to connect with different employers across the city. Our students, you know, on average, about 70% of them will have an internship before they graduate. And really, some majors, it's required that you have an internship before you graduate. We have what we call our experiential learning requirement, which means that by the time you graduate, you have to have either had an internship, study abroad, or done a community-based service learning course. So there's a lot of ways that we're trying to get students, you know, again, outside of their surroundings and exploring Chicago and making the most of living in this city. And we have a lot of connections across the city to help you within our career center. We have students, you know, staff who will help with the small things like how to build a resume and a cover letter, how to prepare for interviews. I know this summer the Career Center was doing webinars on how to interview over Zoom because that's just like something that a lot of people are going to have to do right now. And so it was just great that they're always, you know, really innovative and trying to help both current students and alum. So you get those services, you know, throughout your whole time as a DePaul Blue Demon. They also can help you set you up with a alumni. So you can see here, DePaul has over 185,000 alumni. Of those, about 130,000 or so live in Chicago or the surrounding suburbs. So we have a huge alumni network based here in the city, and our alumni really want to help you as future students, you know, in whatever way you need them. So whether it's just, you know, emailing them with questions about how they got their job, you know, what kind of major did they have at DePaul, what kind of internships should they be looking for, things like that, or even job shadowing opportunities. So there's a lot of great ways that our alumni are giving back to our students and helping them in their future careers. All right, so finishing up, talking a little bit more about DePaul's mission, who we are as a university, what are our values. Again, we were founded after our namesake is St. Vincent de Paul, who is the patron saint of charity. So community service is really important to who we are. But other than that, you know, we were founded as a university driven with the mission of teaching and service, and also with the mission of providing access to students who didn't have that traditional route to higher education. We are one of the first universities in Illinois to admit women and people of color, and so those values are really instrumental in who we are. We're a very inclusive and open environment and really celebrate our students' differences. We celebrate what makes them unique, and we really want every student to succeed. And so you can see kind of throughout, you know, everything I've talked about, hopefully you get a sense of just how many options we have for students, how many opportunities we have. We really want the students that are coming here to be set up for success, but also feel like they're a part of a community that celebrates them and that, you know, really wants them to succeed. And so that's really at the mission of who we are at DePaul. And as I mentioned, service is a huge part of that. These are just a few ways you can, you know, our students get involved with service. We have both domestic and international immersion trips. We have different clubs you can be involved in, like our community peacemakers. And then we also have what we call our Vincentian service days. And these are different service days throughout the year where students can give back to the community and really, you know, so you can go in like a group. So if you're a part of a club on campus, you can register as a group, you can register as an individual. school. And we have over 20 different service sites that students go out to in Chicago on those days and perform different acts of service. So again, a lot of ways you can get involved. And, Marcel, to kind of come back to you, I would say, the Vincentian mission, I think, is something that's sometimes hard to kind of wrap your head around when you're just starting out as a student, and everyone kind of views it differently. But what would you say is, what is the Vincentian mission to you?
Yeah, well, actually something I forgot to mention is that I have a minor in community service. So I do about 30 hours of volunteering at an organization every quarter. For me, I think it's what I've learned from professors and things is this hands-on approach of how can we help people? How can we help serve communities, whatever the community may be. There's a lot of open dialogue on campus about how we can be better people, and I see it in almost all of my classes, regardless of the course. So I think to me, it's just being the kind of person who says how can I help? How can I be a better person and impact people positively in the community? People always kind of mention the here we do DePaul mission, but I think people really are looking for ways hands-on to meet with people, connect with people, and hopefully impact people positively.
Yeah, I think that brings up a great point, in that, another kind of saying of St. Vincent de Paul was what must be done. He was always asking that question, and it's so true that it's so broad. There's just so many things that must be done to help our community and help this world. But I think really at the heart of it, it's taking what you're learning in the classroom, no matter what your major is, and being able to have a positive effect when you graduate. So even someone who's a film student, thinking about what kinds of stories do you want to be told, do you want to tell, what voices do you want to uplift, things like that. And, being a communications student, no matter what kind of career you want to go into, having the power and to have a voice and share that message and things like that are so important. And yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to wrap up just in regards to the Vincentian mission?
Yeah, I mean, I think something I encourage people if they ever do come to DePaul is really to enroll in, you talked about a community-based service learning class. Those classes, at the very least, they have different Chicago nonprofits coming in and talking about their mission and what they do, and being able to hear from them and also get involved has been really rewarding for me as well. So definitely encourage that.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. All right, so the last slide will be about applying to DePaul. So if there are any seniors out there listening, or just students who are, starting your college search process, so here's just some information about how to apply to DePaul. So we are on the Common App, and it is free to apply. So no reason not to, in my book. But other than the Common App, we just require the official high school transcript, and then what's called the Common App School Report. This is a document sent by your school counselor that will basically give us an overview of your school, what kinds of classes you have, things like that, and then their recommendation of you as an applicant. And so that's just the bare minimum of what you have to submit. Anything else is optional. So that includes test scores like the ACT and SAT. That includes the personal essay on the Common App, and that also includes things like letters of recommendation and a list of activities and things like that. That being said, I highly encourage everyone to submit, what you feel is going to be the best representation of you as a student. So if that means contacting, teachers and having them write a letter of recommendation for you, or, writing the personal essay and talking about experiences that I may not know from your transcript, things like that. Anything you want to submit to us is great, and we will definitely accept it. But yeah, so if anyone has questions about the specifics of the application, I'm happy to answer those. Going into our deadlines to apply. So our early action deadline is November 15th. This is not binding, so that means that if you apply by then, you're not committing yourself to DePaul. You just find out your decision earlier. This year, early action applicants will find out their decision by December 15th at the latest. So really important in the long run, because applying early action gives you access to additional scholarships you can apply for, called our Service and Leadership Scholarships. And then you also just get to do pretty much everything early. So, put down your housing deposit before everyone else, and, things like that. So again, it just kind of gives you more time in the end. But other than that, if, for whatever reason you miss the early action deadline, that's perfectly okay. We will still accept applications through February 1st. So that's what we call our regular notification deadline. And by then you would just find out your decision by March 15th at the latest. So again, it just kind of gives you more time on the back end if you apply early. But I was one of those people that applied January 31st. So it really stressed me out. I would definitely recommend not doing that. And again, save yourself all this stress in the long run. And then keeping in mind too, that if anyone is interested in our School of Music or our theater school, those do have slightly different deadlines, and you can find all that information on their specific website to see those requirements. So yeah, so that's the end of the presentation. Thanks everyone for joining. I'm gonna go check the Q&A. So if you guys have any questions for Marcel or I about DePaul, feel free to put them in there and we will go through those. Marcel, is there anything else you kind of wanted to say that I missed maybe?
I don't think so. I think you got everything. Oh,
Okay.
Also we don't have classes on Fridays, so that's a fun little thing.
Yes, I was gonna say, yeah, I never had a class on Friday. Yeah, I used to be a tour guide, and I would always joke like, oh yeah, this year is the year I'm like gonna have a Friday class, and then I never did. So yeah.
So that's cool.
Yep. All right. Well, yeah. Well, like I said, guys, feel free to put some questions in the chat if you have any. We'd be happy to answer them, whether it's about a specific major, it's about the application process, if we have a certain club, ways to get involved, anything like that. And then also I did put my email address in the as my name. I know it got kind of cut off, but if anyone does have any questions that you think of later, feel free to jot down my email address. It's just my first initial last name at depaul.edu. So feel free to email me as well if you have any questions. I am the admission counselor that works with students from Missouri. So not in addition to, being your direct contact, I also will be the one reading your application. So, definitely keep me in mind when you're writing the essay, but yeah. Okay, gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Now it's just like a waiting game if anyone's gonna ask questions. I mean, if no one has questions, we can just end this early because I know Zoom fatigue is like real. So
yeah.
If there are no questions, and you can feel free to type the questions now, but first wanted to thank you guys for joining us. And when you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. So we'd really appreciate it if you could give us any feedback. Also, this was just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at MOACAC.org. And also in about a week, you'll be able to get this session as well as any others at MOACAC.org. Thank you, and thanks to our facilitators.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. It was nice being able to share this information with you all. Okay, yeah, it looks like there's no questions, so we can go ahead and end it early if you want.
Okay. All right, we'll do. Again, I'm so sorry I wasn't on mute. I thought that
That's okay. It only like happened like the one time when I was like, oh wait, she's not on mute.
Oh my goodness, I'm so
It's
sorry.
Okay. No, you're totally fine.
All right, well, you guys did a fantastic job, and thank you for the great information. Thank you for working with our students.
Yeah, thanks so much. It was so nice to see you, Marcel, and I hope to see you in person soon.
Hopefully.
All right, thank you.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.